From flat out left-hand turns to fancy footwork turning left and right on the road course at Circuit of the Americas, I am joined by Ryan Stevens of Win the Race to preview the first road course race of the NASCAR Cup Series season. Ryan, road course means Shane Van Gisbergen. He finished 6th at Atlanta last weekend, his best Cup Series finish on an oval to date. But COTA is the one road course track on the NASCAR schedule that he's still missing a trophy from. If we don't include San Diego, I suppose. Led 23 laps last year, struggled on restarts late. Ultimately, it was Christopher Bell who went to victory lane. Shane Van Gisbergen, what percentage chance do you give SVG winning in Austin this Sunday?
Man, he did a lot of left and right hand turns through the grass last week in Atlanta, but he's just so much fun to watch. I can't believe he still finished where he did that race. Dude's just been awesome. But when we simulate this race 100,000 times, we have him winning, 31.1% of the races, which honestly feels low. It's just the way that we have everything kind of baked in there. It's hard to get him kind of where he needs to be, I think, for the simulations. One stat that really stands out to me and is kind of funny, if you look at the last 2 years on road courses in the Cup Series, he's run almost 70% of his laps inside the top three. And the next best driver in that time is Christopher Bell, who's ran just under 30%. So he's more than double his laps inside the top three than anyone else. He is the rightful favorite this weekend. Not much else to say about it. If he loses, I think we'd all be surprised.
That's why I figured I'd start with Shane Van Gisbergen before we get to some of his most formidable challengers. Recent COTA winners. I mentioned last year it was Christopher Bell. Year before that, it was William Byron. Tyler Reddick before that. I want to start with Tyler Reddick here because he's going for 3 wins in a row to start the season. And I would argue, looking at just the basic stats, he is the best COTA driver not named Shane Van Gisbergen. I mean, his stats are better. 5 starts, 5 top 10s, 4 top 5s, a win in 2023 with 23XI Racing. His worst qualifying effort is 4th. So does Tyler Reddick slot in like right behind SVG in your pre-race power rankings, or what do you think of Reddick's chances?
We have 2 guys right there behind him. They're not close behind him, but they're behind him. Second and third, 2A, 2B kind of type guys. Tyler Reddick's one, William Byron is the other.
Ooh, okay.
Both drivers with top 5 finishes in the last 3 COTA races. Both have a win in that time. I think what pulls Byron just slightly above Reddick in our simulations is in that 3-race sample, he's the only driver running over half his laps inside the top 3. But each is absolutely awesome here, though. I mean, leading the way with an average finish of 2.67 and 3 here at COTA over the last 3 races at this track. It doesn't get much better than that. So, yeah, I'd put William Byron and Reddick behind him, like 2A, 2B right now.
Well, I've mentioned him a couple of times, but yes, last year's winner, Christopher Bell, he won this race a year ago. He's finished top 5 in 5 of the last 6 road course races, road and street course races in the NASCAR Cup Series. It's interesting. He's a dirt racer from Oklahoma, but he's taken to the left and right-hand turns in a stock car quite well. How good is Christopher Bell at road courses, and should we keep an eye on him Sunday?
He's great everywhere. Like you said, it doesn't matter the track type that Chris Bell is on now. Even at these drafting tracks, he's finding his way, up front near the end of these races, and he's won on those. So I don't know if we broaden the scope on road courses over the last 2 years. I mentioned Bell is second to only SVG in the percent of their laps they're running inside the top 3. But the cool thing about Bell is he is a finisher too. He has a win and 7 top 5 finishes in those 11 races. So not only is he running up front, but he's finding a way to finish there as well. So, yeah, I'm not surprised if Bell's running up front in this race.
Got to spend a minute on this guy. It's tough because he has very few Cup Series reps up to this point, but Connor Zilisch may very well be the next best road course racer. Perhaps he's even on the same level, same tier as Shane Van Gisbergen. They will both race the O'Reilly Series race Saturday, so double duty for the 2 Trackhouse teammates. Zilisch, I was there last year. He made his Cup Series debut at COTA. Showed moments, put some great laps together, but ultimately got caught up in a wreck. He needs a good race this weekend. Put aside winning. He just needs a good, solid top 5, top 10 finish. He's last in points after the 2 super speedways. One thing I like about Connor Zilisch this week, and maybe there's a way to like translate this to data or use this to forecast his performance. I like his crew chief. Randall Burnett has won road course races with Tyler Reddick in the past. Last year in this race with Kyle Busch, they led the most laps. So how bold, I know that the Cup Series data is thin, but how bold are you willing to be predicting how Connor Zilisch will do this weekend?
We can't be too bold right now, but we can, I think, after practice and qualifying this weekend. So that's one thing we do. We'll simulate the race beforehand.
Yeah.
Then we take all that data we have after practice and qualifying, we simulate it again. And that might be where you see this guy shoot way up. I mean, right now we have him winning a little less than 5% of the time, as opposed to, like I said, with SVG over 30% of the time. But Trackhouse has been very strong here at COTA. We know that. Ross Chastain has a win. And there's been no reason to believe Zilisch will show up slow. We know his skill levels among the best we've ever seen on these road courses. And for what it's worth, when we simulated the O'Reilly race, we actually have Zilisch as a slight favorite over SVG in that series. I know that's different than most, but again, they're like 1A, 1B. But a quick Xfinity or O'Reilly series breakdown of these road races that featured both of them. Connor Zilisch came in second at Chicago to SVG. He was the best in Mexico, but Suarez, I don't know what happened there. But Zilisch was best. He's 1-for-1 at COTA. In that race, he beat William Byron and Ross Chastain. He's 1-for-1 at Sonoma, beating Shane Van Gisbergen. He's 2-for-2 at Watkins Glen, beating SVG both times, and even beat AJ Allmendinger in one of those races as well. So I know it's a different series, but he's going out there and he's beating these guys that are winning Cup races on road courses, and at COTA specifically. So this is one guy where our simulations right now could be way off. And after practicing qualifying, you could see a huge correction. And then we're fully on board that he's up there in that Byron Reddick range that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, that's a great observation. Like Shane Van Gisbergen and all these other Byron obviously have way more next gen Cup car experience than Zilisch, but when they get into that O'Reilly series, Connor has taken it to the top dogs. That's a crazy point that he has beaten two of the guys we keep talking about, Byron, Chastain. He's beaten them at COTA before as a teenager, just in the O'Reilly series. So yeah, we shall see how quickly those skills translate to the Cup car. A couple more drivers. Actually, I have one more specific driver I have to ask about. He did lead the most laps in this race last year, so I'm not just using his name for clicks. Kyle Busch, top 5 1 year ago, arguably the closest he's come to winning a race in the past year. I'm not someone who would rush to pick Kyle Busch. I just don't really love mentally where it seems he's at, where that team is at to start the year. I know they won the pole at Daytona. That was great, but I don't know. How confident are you predicting Kyle Busch this weekend?
He's tough. Like you said, he's not a fan of the kids these days, but the kids are going to be out there in this race and they're going to be bumping into each other quite a bit. I don't think he can contend for a win, which shouldn't really shock anyone now that, SVG's here winning these road courses. But I'm not even sure if he can top 5 here with just the way the field looks. But if he finishes top 10 or near there, I'm not too surprised. He does have 3 straight top 10s here at COTA. This is by far his best road course on the schedule, early in the season. So I think if there's a chance for him to top 10, it's here. But I don't really think he's going to be contending for the win or out there leading all the laps like he did last year.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Top 10, sure. I wouldn't go much higher than that. We'll wrap up with this, Ryan. Who did we miss? There's so many sneaky good road course racers. I mean, we know guys like Chase Elliott. You've mentioned William Byron. They're really good. AJ Allmendinger, of course. Alex Bowman has some pretty good numbers at COTA. Michael McDowell, Chris Buescher. Maybe someone I just named, but who's another driver out there that catches your attention that we haven't really talked about yet?
Bowman's definitely one. I'm glad you mentioned him. We talked about Tyler Reddick earlier, and it's only those two that have top 10s in all 4 Gen 7 COTA races. Another one that I'm interested in, I talk about him a lot, this year it feels like, but it's Chase Briscoe. He was not shy about his early struggles with JGR and getting used to the differences in that car. But COTA was early season, and he still went out there and ran over 50% of his laps inside the top 10. If we look at his first full season with JGR on road courses, he's only behind SVG and his teammate Christopher Bell in the percent of laps they ran inside the top 10. Not many people realize that. You start to see the upside, too, as you get later into the season. 20th race was at Sonoma. He finishes second. 24th race is at Watkins Glen. He finishes fifth. We know JGR can bring speed. Like we just mentioned Bell, but Briscoe, I think, can get right up there with him. Even Martin Truex Jr. in the 19, his last race at COTA, started seventh, finished 10th. So it's just something Toyotas can bring speed here. We mentioned it with Reddick. We mentioned it with Bell. I think Briscoe is going to be there, and I think Briscoe has a very high ceiling. So he's one that I'm keeping my eye on this weekend.
I think there was a late race restart, sure, but if I recall, that Sonoma race last summer is one of the few, maybe the only road course races where someone was at least in the picture behind Shane Van Gisbergen when he crossed the line. I could see that Bass Pro Shops 19, so yeah, maybe he's not too far off. I like that. Going to be a lot of variables this weekend. It's such a radically different track type than where we've raced the last 2 weeks. Remember also, little extra horsepower on the road courses this year that drivers and teams did not have to deal with a year ago. How does that shake things up? Time will tell. Ryan Stevens, thank you as always for bringing the goods here on a Wednesday morning. Really appreciate your time. Fans can find more of Ryan's work at wintherace.info. That link is down below. And Ryan, I know you guys are continuing the draft every Wednesday night. Can you tell folks a little more about how that show operates?
Yeah, we'll draft. There's 3 of us. We draft one driver from 8 different teams. We talk about a lot of different guys, and then we'll draft a bonus driver. And we use NASCAR scoring. He'll score 1.25x his points. So it's fun to try and maneuver around the draft and pick who you think's going to really score and win. People have picked Reddick for their bonus driver the last few weeks and just have skyrocketed up the standings. So it's been a lot of fun. You can play on wintherace.info as well. The draft game's right on there. You can select your own team. There's live standings. So yeah, come check it out. Wednesday nights, 8:30. Appreciate it.
Yeah, love the show. And with now that new game element on the site, it's even more interactive than before, which is really, really cool. Ryan, really appreciate your time. Enjoy the race this weekend. We'll catch up again with you real soon.
Appreciate it. Enjoy COTA. It's good to be back on tracks where we'll have some practice and qualifying that matters. So I'm pumped.